This is a shakedown. Order up that beat just like it's takeout.
That was the first part.
Yeah. Hey guys, this is Coach Alison G back for episode 3 of Real Talk with Coach Alison G. And today for our podcast, we are going to be talking about the scale slave. More importantly, do you control the scale or does the scale control you? And it's an important topic. I think this is probably outside of perfectionism, which was episode 1, if you remember, episode 2, because episode 1 was about me. But if you remember that, you're going to remember how important these things are. And the scale slave, to me, I see this so often. So let's start by identifying what is even a scale slave. It's really the person who weighs themselves every day, probably multiple times per day, constantly addicted to whatever that number says, because in their weight loss journey, they want to see success. And their entire moods are dependent on what that scale says. And if they don't like that scale, they're going to find another scale, and they're going to find another scale till that scale either tells them what they want to see, or they're going to get so frustrated that they're going to just put their hands up and they're going to say, I'm done. So why does a person even become this, right? It just doesn't even make any sense. Well, when you have a goal and you are trying to get to that goal, it makes sense to have some kind of a parameter that helps you judge how successful you are, right? Like if I want to build a house and I lay out plans, if I see the building start to go up, I can see the progress of what my vision is, and eventually I have that big, beautiful house. However, when we're doing this journey, one of the best ways we have, and I'm going to take that back because it's really not the best way, but one of the most common ways that we have to judge how our progress is going is by that scale. So when we feel good or when we feel we've made improvements or advancements, we want something to tell us that, right? It's almost like a big old pat on the back that said, you're awesome. However, I like to think of that scale as like the friend that could either stab you in the back, or they're going to stab you in the front, or possibly they may be your best friend. Who knows? I don't know. I'm sure we all have friends that are like that. But when you are a scale slave, and I don't mean you're literally like chained to the scale and you're walking around and scales in your pocket and you're going to whip it out at every main. What I mean is that there's that addiction to wanting to know what that number is. And so obviously with addictions, there's some consequences to that kind of a behavior. And one of the biggest consequences that I've seen through the years it's self-sabotage. Plain and simple, that scale slave, that in your head, that's total sabotage. I will never forget a session that I had where this, coming through the door of my office, the woman was just like, I feel amazing, I feel great, and oh my God, I dropped 2 sizes on my shirt, and like these pants, I haven't worn them since like I was 25, and she's much older than that now, but like since I was 25, and she's singing these praises, and I'm like so happy. I'm like, yes, like this is awesome, like let's go. And she got on the scale to weigh, and all of a sudden everything changed. Her whole entire demeanor. She was pissed because for whatever reason, as great as she felt, that scale told her that she gained 1.5 pounds, okay, or 1.5 pounds. And then all of a sudden, I don't understand what happened. I was so good this week. I did everything right. I didn't even cheat. I didn't do anything. And quite honestly, I was like, whoa, wait, back up a second, right? Like, you were just excited 5 minutes ago walking in. Like, you just told me you down 2 shirt sizes, you've dropped pant sizes, you have energy. Like, and I swear to God, it disappeared like that. Like, in an instant, everything that she praised was gone. And I was like, oh my God. Like, first of all, I was like, give me my client back because this is a terrorist. But I was so upset for her. Like, my heart literally broke. So if you ever want to know what a trainer is thinking or a coach is thinking, inside when she came in, she's telling me, I was like, yeah, man, I'm the shit. Look what I helped her do. Like, this is awesome. And then at the same time, when she started changing, when I was like, oh shit, here we go. And then I was like, my heart broke I literally wanted to cry for her, not because I was sad for her, but I was sad for the fact that she actually couldn't see all of the amazing things that happened to her along the way, that they all just poofed the minute that she got on the scale. And it started making me think, well, if she's doing this, clearly a lot of other people feel this way. And when I had an office and people were coming through, I did see it a lot. But this particular woman in particular was someone who, it really got to me. So I remember doing a challenge for that month where I called it Stop Being a Scale Slave. And I refused to let any of my clients weigh. And I said, for the entire month, I'm the only one who's going to either see the scale, or if you don't think you can't look at it, we're not weighing at all. We're putting the scale away completely. Hide the scale at your house. I'm trusting you. If you can't do it, then have someone that you live with put it away and not tell you where it is, because you're going to go find it. And we're not doing it here. And I'll never forget, after doing that month, it was the most successful month that I had had, because I made people trust their feeling and trust their choices versus trusting the number. Best one I ever did. Wish I could have done that over and over, but can't do that because they would come at me with pitchforks and torches because they need to see that number. So I like my life. Why would someone want to do that? I know people who hate the scale. I personally probably weigh myself once every 30 days. I've learned to trust myself through the years. I'm not gonna lie, I probably was a scale slave at some point too. Anything I ever talk about are things that I've experienced myself. I have tons of personal stories, which I'm not gonna bore you with, but I understand. I understand feeling like I've done everything right and I wanna see those results immediately, because again, I can go into the grocery store, pick up an edition of any one of those magazines that are right there in the checkout line while I'm waiting behind the person with 52 items in a 10 item or less lane. And I'm gonna read about how I can lose 5 pounds 5 days, 10 pounds 15 days, right? Some of these really unrealistic measurements of weight loss. So if they can do it, why can't I? Because that person on the cover, they seem like they need more help than I do. So, and I'm pretty smart and I'm talented and I'm a professional, so why can't I do it? Well, it doesn't always work that way. And when we feel like we've made changes, we want to jump on that scale and we want to see that tell us, you did a great job. You're right, Allie. Everything that you did, it shows off right here. So there's a motivation to it, because if I can get the scale to do that and tell me that I'm right, research tells us that positive reinforcement is like a pat on the back, and that sends these good vibrations to our brain. Our endorphins flare up. We're feeling awesome. We feel in control, right? So right in that moment, the scale told us, Ms. in control here, she's got it down. She's doing great. But what if it doesn't do that? And it tells me that I've gained. Again, like we talked about, sabotage comes in. So it would, motivating factor here, if I really wasn't 100% all into reaching my goal, this is going to give me the greatest excuse in the world to drop it and say it didn't work. Say, it's not for me. I will never say I failed it. I'm going to say it failed it. This can't be working. This isn't right. Yeah, well, clearly I didn't do what I was supposed to, because somewhere along the line, if we go back into that perfectionist mentality, no one gets it right 100% of the time, all the time. It's really hard to achieve perfection. And once you achieve perfection, where do you go? It's really hard to hold on to that, right? At some point, we can't see ourselves coming down off the mountain once we've reached the peak. Sometimes the climb down is just as hard. So if we had that perfectionist mindset, and now all of a sudden we're in here with a scale slave, those two together, whew, bad news. Bad news. That'll really F you up. I don't have anybody to ding my beep, so I'm just gonna say F, so follow me there. Scale slaves also can have problems with relationships with other people in their lives. Again, I go back to the lady who came in really excited about how well she felt, and then really pissed off when the scale didn't tell her that she was right, and then no offense, she was a bitch to me the entire session, and I had to spend my time calming her down. So I can't even imagine if you didn't have someone like me right there when that happened to you and you're at home, your poor husband, child, partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, maybe even the dog, somebody else is going to pay for it, right? Because now you're in a crappy mood because that didn't tell you what you wanted to see. So definitely can have some kind of an adverse reaction on our moods. For people who already have anxiety or depressive symptoms, maybe a little bit of bipolar, these are things that can cause triggers, right? These are things that are definitely affected by that. These mood swings can be something that, I don't know, you may not want to be around. So I apologize in advance if you're around someone or you yourself are going through it. I think you need to apologize to everyone in your life that while you're in these beginning stages, you may not be the friendliest person. Give them the heads up, because you go out like Cinderella and then you come back in like the evil queen. People are not going to know what the hell's going on. All right. But literally that is the conversation your brain is having when you're using the scale as that one barometer of progress. Look, not all scales are accurate, right? Most of you get up in the morning and how do we weigh? We take all of our clothes off, we get on that scale in the bathroom or wherever it is, and that's the number that you go with. But then if I turn around and I go to the doctor and I'm fully clothed, and let's say my appointment was at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and I've already had breakfast and lunch like I was supposed to, if I'm drinking my water, that number is not going to look the same as it did this morning. If you walked into my office, your scale and my scale are not going to be anywhere near each other. And it's a very rare occurrence that it would. Even in your own home, the pitch of your floor could be different in one area than it is in another. And so you know what happens? We pick up that scale and we start moving it to other places in the house. And the place that gives us the least amount on that scale is the place we're going to land it, because that looked good today. That one says I'm 2 pounds lighter than what it said in the bathroom. So that makes a big difference. Carpet takes 10 pounds off of you. So if you really want a good day, put your thing on carpet, put your scale on carpet and go weigh yourself, and you're going to be so happy, because even that is different, because the impact, listen, weight is gravity holding. That's really what it is. The force of gravity on you. Scales were created back in the Renaissance era to be able to measure how something was going to be built, or how much weight can I put on one side without a counterweight on another. Then we began to use it in different industries. So it's all about the gravity of weight. So when we change that force of gravity, it's going to change what it says for us. Another story I had, I'll never forget, this gentleman came in to see me, and he came from his massage appointment. And what is the number one thing that you have to do after a massage? You drink water, right? That little massage therapist, if they're a good one, they're going to come up to you and they're going to hold that little glass of water and they're going to drink up. And that's what you do, you drink. So I had a guy who was coming to me from his therapy appointment, and he swore up and down he'd been great, didn't deviate, gave me the journal. He did all his homework right. I even noticed when he walked in the door, I was like, wow, your face, I can really see it in your face today. He comes in and he weighs himself, and I don't understand, I'm 1 pound up. I was like, okay, all right, don't worry. You know, we don't know where it comes from. No, but really, coach, I didn't do anything wrong. And I didn't say you did. So what'd you do before you got here? Well, I had a massage, okay? And did you drink water after the massage? Yeah, and then while I was in my car, I had about a bottle of water. All right, and that's 16 ounces, right? 16-ounce water bottle that you had, 16.9 ounces. Yep. If I put that on a scale in the supermarket, how much is that gonna be? It's gonna be a pound. Where'd you think the water went when you put it in your system? You're a holding tank. So the water you drink could still be on you. If you had a high sodium meal the night before, you're gonna retain water. If you carved out the night before because you went out with your friends or you had alcohol, you're gonna retain water, because those sugar molecules inside your body are gonna attract all these little water molecules to puff you up, right? So if you've ever felt bloated, puffy, that's water weight, right? If you're a woman, you're PMSing, your premenstrual symptom, that bloating, that's because there's a change in your blood sugar that's about to occur, and water is affected by that. If you went to the gym and you sweat and you're replacing water, you're gonna change that. You go into a sauna, you're gonna come out 2 pounds lighter. That's why they use saunas for a lot of athletic sports to meet weight classes. So it's a quick way to drop weight, right? And now they have these things where you're wrapping yourself in saran wrap and you're doing all of these crazy things to shrink you down because technically it dehydrates you. So again, there's a lot of ways to play and manipulate with the scale, so we can't always know where that weight or weight loss is necessarily coming from unless you yourself are honest with the habits that you did through the week. How do I know if I'm becoming a scale slave? Right? That's introspection. So if you can even ask yourself that question, good for you, because that's a hard one. Am I obsessing over this? How do I know? Look, plain and simple. If you can't be proud of yourself without a number on the scale, you're a scale slave. There's not much to it. What I would suggest is look at another barometric. Look at something else to tell you whether or not you're doing a good job. Get a tape, measuring tape. Measure yourself or have someone else measure you. There's a really cool app that I like to use with my clients. Now, I'm not going to say this is 100% effective. I just think it's really cool. I have nothing at all to do with this app, but I do like it. It's called Me360. And what's really neat about it is it takes a 3D image of your body. You don't see your face. It's just a 3D image, which is kind of nice because I am the worst critic of my pictures. I will be the first one to tell me, like, I feel like I ate Shamu, and so I don't want to see my face, because if I see my face, I'm going to go into critiquing mode. But when I see this 3D image of what I look like, and then all of a sudden it gives me all of these measurements, it tells me my lean body mass, and it tells me all the measurements without my body. It doesn't tell me my weight, which is kind of cool too. But it gives me an idea of a direction that I'm going. And I think that's ultimately the most important thing of how to not be a scale slave, is find a way to either use your scale as a starting point to judge progress. Don't look at the numbers, or find another tool that works for you. Don't use a scale at all. If you see those numbers going down, because guess what? You are going to lose inches before you're ever going to lose weight. Do you know how much it takes to lose a pound? 3,500 calories per week to lose 1 pound, or just in general. I'm just going to say I break it up per week because I always tell people the easiest way is if you were tracking calories or caloric intake, you'd have to find a way to get rid of 500 in a day, whether that came from cutting out some of the crap food that you might be eating, or your level of physical expenditure, caloric expenditure from physical activity. But somewhere along the line, it takes 1 pound. So if you're ever worried, did I go out? I didn't eat crazy, but I ate, I had a little bit of appetizer here, I had a glass of wine there, but Jesus, the scale says I'm 2 pounds heavier. Well, did you eat 7,000 calories more the night before? If you didn't, then it's not coming from your food, right? It's coming from somewhere else. And none of us, I think, are that brilliant that we can really figure out where it is. So we just have to be able to say, you know what, maybe I just need to be more mindful. So I usually will tell people, weigh once a week. Same day, same time. I like Mondays because it keeps me accountable over the weekend, right? Monday morning I get up, I'm naked on the scale, see my number, like or don't like, but it's over for the week. Now it's up to me to trust myself as long as I'm on a journey. When I'm not on a journey or I don't have a goal to lose weight, then I don't use it because my next goal might be to lean out, right? My next goal might be I want to develop less body fat and more muscle. Well, now I'm going to use a different set of metrics for that. And maybe my scale has a body fat and a muscle mass indicator on it. But even then, are they always 100% accurate? Listen, it's a little, when you step on the scale, there's a little electrical current that goes up the bottom of one foot, up the thigh, through the pelvis, and down the other leg. That is going to tell you everything you need to know. Bullshit. but it's going to give you somewhat of an indication. So what you're really looking for is a trend down. If that progress shows that you're going down, then you're doing a great job. Because I don't know about you, but tell me the last time anyone ever came up to you and said, "Hi, oh my God, you look amazing. You look 180 today. How'd you pull that off?" Okay, I've never had that happen. I've never heard anyone that has had that happen. What do they say to you? "It looks like you lost weight. You look great. What are you doing? You're glowing. You know, oh my God, that outfit looks amazing on you." That's what you're looking for. Those are the parameters that we're looking for to judge our progress. Stop focusing on a number. That number doesn't identify you. So don't let it be the excuse. Because here's the problem. It lets you off the hook. Because if it's not what you want to see, you think you failed. And you didn't fail. If you could change one habit, if you can change one thing that you've done, maybe it's the whole idea of, I'm just not eating after 9 o'clock at night or 8 o'clock at night. I'm just going to cut out my nighttime sweets. And so this is fun too, because I had another gentleman, and if you're listening, I'm really apologize. That's why I say no names. But I'll never forget this, and both of us really identify this moment, this aha moment. What he ate wasn't probably the best, or his structure and his schedule, and we'll talk about that at another time, but wasn't the best. But he really wanted to feel better. His particular goal was, my stomach is in pain all the time. I want to feel better. And his thing was, he worked hard. Late at night was one of his best working times, but late at night he would have his Code Red and his bag of Swedish fish every night. Now that's not my thing. Maybe a bowl of ice cream beforehand, I don't know. But it kept him up, it kept him going. Not my thing, his thing. In respect for that, I simply told him, hey, before we worry about overhauling the whole thing, why don't we just take the one step right there, and if you really want the Code Red and you really love the Swedish fish, let's have it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Because at 3 o'clock, our insulin goes down in our body. Between 3 and 4, the insulin kind of goes down in our body. Let's change it to that time in the afternoon. And his response to me was, but I don't want it then. And I said, aha, then you really don't want the food. You really don't want the Code Red, and you really don't want the gummies, but you've made it this part of your life. And this particular time frame with these things are what's hurting you. Oh. And guess what? He changed it. And he felt better. And maybe he held it for a while, but the next time he starts feeling crappy, or the next time that work starts getting an overhaul on him and he's working late and he realizes that he's going back to the 1 a.m. Code Red and Swedish fish or gummies, then look, it's pretty obvious that the stomach upset and the pain and all that's going to come back. So learning to control some of our habits, or learning to understand what works for us to help us feel better, is equally as important as getting on a scale and knowing whether or not the numbers worked in our favor. We are different people today than we were 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 20 years ago. It makes me sad when I see someone in their 50s tell me that they want to be the weight that they were when they were in high school. And you know what? You are not that same person. I'm not that same person. But I damn well want to be the healthiest version of myself. So look, this week, start thinking about changing a habit. Start thinking about how to work out and tone and strengthen. Get lean, get strong. Because next week, we have a special guest who's going to talk about what trainers think and what's in the mind of the trainer and how to get started, in case you're sitting around there wondering, yeah, I'll get around to it. You are the ultimate indicator of losing weight. Remember that. It's really you who's driving your success. So if you're not seeing the numbers on the scale move, then you have to be able to be self-reflective and say, am I doing something, or is there something different that I could be doing today, this week, over what I've been doing? Because maybe something's not right. Because the one thing your body wants to do when it wakes up every day is be at 100%. Every day, your body's main focus and goal is to be healthy. It's to keep you healthy, keep your cells in check. If we're gaining weight, it's because we're throwing a roadblock into the middle of it. We are physically doing something to stop that process from happening, because in our DNA, it is wired to keep us healthy. So remember, again, I'm going to say it again because I think this is really important. You are the ultimate indicator of losing weight. You are in control. So next week, get ready. We are going to have what I think is a great friend and a great trainer. He's going to whip my ass into shape coming up. But we're going to get into the brain, and I'm going to pick the brain. This is the Real Talk Show. So we're going to hear all of the things that we're thinking, what we hope to see as trainers. He's going to fill us all in. So this way, the next time you go into a gym or somewhere and you think everyone is judging you, we can blow some of that out of the water. But until next time, I hope you enjoyed Real Talk with Coach Alison G. And I look forward to talking to you again soon. Be good. Have a healthy life.
Just the way you like it, the way you like it. So good, so fresh. Get up on your feet, this is a shakedown.